Okay, so welcome everybody. So my name's Claire Howard, and I'm sort of just stepping in today for Heather, who leads the Centre for Clinical Care and Research. And we've organised today this training session, which is one of the things that people have asked for, which is specifically around sort of searching the databases, and obviously it's a really good starting point for research. So the Centre for Clinical and Care Research has been created very recently to really develop research capacity and really look at where people's skills are and support people's ability to perform research in a clinical capacity. So, really, this is what the CCCR is about. It's about looking for people who are interested in research, picking out where the talent lies, providing mentorship and support. That might be through experienced researchers, putting people in touch with people who have already managed to secure research funding, and really providing that sort of peer support for people. And it's around looking at how we can develop those careers around research pathways and develop people's research skills. So this session is one of the starting points for looking at those research skills, because obviously we need to be able to search the literature in a really robust way to actually start on our research journey. Obviously, there's no point in doing any research if it's already been done and reported in the literature. So the lead, as I've already mentioned, is Heather, who can't be with us today, but she's always contactable via her email address if anybody wants to get in touch with her following this session for anything specific. And what we're asking is that people, if they want to join the mailing list for the Centre for Clinical and Care Research, or they want to go on our database, which is where we'll get in touch with people with any updates, then to email Claire Mooney, whose email address is on the screen there. And if people want to put their email address today in the chat, then we can then make sure that you get the most up-to-date information and that you go on the mailing list. Apologies, my next button isn't working. So I'd really like to highlight, first of all, that the Centre for Clinical and Care Research, like I say, is very new, and we are doing a launch event on the 6th of June, which we really would like to see as many sort of clinical staff as possible to come to that event, to have that opportunity to listen to speakers who have been through this journey themselves. We've got some keynote speakers around the importance of research. We've also got some clinicians who have experienced research in their own at different levels, how to actually get on that research pathway, talking about their own journeys. And this will be a real opportunity to network with other sort of researchers and people interested in research at all levels. We're looking for people very early in the pathway as well, who maybe haven't done any research but just want to know where to start, and come and discuss your research ideas. And this will be a real opportunity for a face-to-face event in June, which is really nice that we can actually get the chance to finally do that. So these sessions today, as Ramona will tell you all about, we actually got two sessions organised. We've got today, and then we've got a more in-depth in terms of actually critically appraising the literature when we've found it, which is on the 6th of April, which again is on Teams. If anyone's got any ideas of sessions that they feel would be particularly beneficial for their research journey, then please do get in touch, because we can always organise some more sessions for you. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now. Oh. There we go. And I'm going to hand you over to Ramona, who is an information specialist for the Trust and is going to run through. And I've heard Ramona, she came to our team development session recently, and it's made a huge difference in terms of how to actually search for literature, where's the best places to look. So I felt this was a really good starting point. So I'm going to pass over to Ramona, who's going to deliver today's session. So thank you very much.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much, Claire. And thank you for having me speak to you today. So as Claire mentioned, I'm an information specialist at the Trust, which is just a big fancy way of saying librarian, really. So I specialise in finding evidence. I do literature searches every day for people, so hopefully I can pass on some of that knowledge to you today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my camera, unfortunately, sorry, just because I'm running lots of websites and, bandwidth and everything. So I'm going to turn off my camera and share my screen. Let me just do that. I'm just going to share my whole screen, I think. So hopefully you're all able to see my PowerPoint presentation. So first of all, just wanted to welcome you to the library service, as that's what I'm representing today. So everybody in the call and hopefully everyone watching this video will make use of the library service after today if you haven't already. And we've got lots of resources and services that we can offer for you. So I'll touch briefly on some of those today as well. So as Claire's already mentioned, today I'm going to be talking to you mostly about how to find literature. But I'm starting the session on just a little library induction just to introduce you to some of our key resources and services. So you're catching us at a bit of a strange time. It's a bit of a weirdly placed session because next week we're making quite a big decision on one of our resources. So you'll see listed under key resources, I've got UpToDate and Dynamed plus Micromedex. Well, from next Tuesday, we're actually only going to subscribe to one of those, and I don't know which one it's going to be. We haven't made that decision yet. So instead of going through one a little bit more in depth, because I don't know which one it is, I'm just going to briefly touch on both of those on navigation and how to get the most out of it. So it's just going to be quite brief because I don't want to waste your time on something that we're not going to subscribe to in the future. So if you do want more information on either of those after next week, depending on which one we subscribe to, then just get in touch with me. I'll also be going through Bmj Best Practice, and then for the first part, I'll be helping you how to find books, journals and articles, and this is more in general, so if you're doing like a bit of a scope and search just to see what's out there rather than an in-depth database search. And then after this, we'll have a little break, and then part 2 of the session is database search, and so creating a search strategy and searching medical databases. I'm going to be demonstrating it to you on Ovid, but I will let you know of the other database interfaces that we have, of course. And so when I do that, I'll go through kind of different search tips, how to search the database themselves, and how to save and export your results from there as well. I can't see any of you now, so if you do have a question, I'm very happy for you to shout out. If you do want to pop anything in the chat, and I can have a look at that at the end of part 1 before part 2 as well. And whatever suits you, I'm happy with anything. So first, I'll just quickly go over some of the benefits of joining the library for you. So there are 3 libraries in the Northern Care Alliance, and there's one at Salford, at Fairfield and at Oldham. So you have access to any of those libraries, all of them and any of them, as you're part of the Northern Care Alliance. Unfortunately, we don't have a library at Rochdale, but of course you can still visit any of our libraries if you are based at Rochdale. And a lot of our services and resources are online anyway, so you don't really miss out that much if you can't make it to a library site. But if you can make it to a library site, then that's fantastic. And you'll see that we've got study spaces, there's PCs for you to sit and work on. We also have some PCs that have EPR access as well, in case you need that. And we have photocopying and printing facilities, and of course we have books too. So our libraries are staffed Monday to Friday, and they all have slightly different opening hours, but it's generally about 8:30 to 5 p.m. But if you do want to access the library outside those hours, you can apply for 24-hour access to any of our libraries. So you can come any time of the day, weekends, Christmas Day if you want. So the process is slightly different for each of our libraries. So if you do want to have 24-hour access, just pop yourself to the nearest library site, and we can arrange that for you as well. So to get the most out of everything that I'm going to talk about today, it's best if you have a library membership. So there's the link on the screen, and I'll share these slides around so you don't have to frantically write anything down. And I'll show you how to get to the library website today as well, so you can access the library membership form. So it's quite a simple form, just a few of your details. And then there is a question on there which asks about if you'd like to have an Open Athens account. And if you do not have an Open Athens account, then definitely yes, click yes to that question. You definitely need an Open Athens account to access any of our online resources. So if you don't have one already, make sure that you do register for one as you're registering for the library as well. And what an Open Athens account is, it's basically just a username and password, but it gives you access to everything that's online. So all of the databases, full texts of any e-journals or ebooks, and also the resources that I'm going to talk about today, UpToDate, Dynamed and Bmj, they all use your Open Athens account. So it is quite crucial that you have one, really. And then everything I talk about today, so everything I've mentioned already and everything that I'm going to mention is all on our library website. So you can find everything on there. And I'll show you how to get onto that in just a second as well. So yeah, so first I'm just going to talk about a few of our key resources for you. And the first one I wanted to mention is Bmj Case Reports. So Bmj Case Reports is available to all staff and all students within the Northern Care Alliance. And because we have membership to it, we have a fellowship code. What that means is that you can submit any amount of cases that you want to on Bmj Case Reports. All you need is the fellowship code. So you would just contact us, we would hand that to you, and then you can submit a case to Bmj Case Reports. So you can submit as many as you like, and of course you can use the material that's already been published in Case Reports if you want to use it for teaching, for your own research, and so on. So it's a really, really valuable resource, really, because as you might know, submitting papers or case reports, it does cost quite a lot of money. So it's nice that we have this membership so you can do that for free. So as I mentioned before, we're at a bit of a crossroads at the moment where we're deciding on UpToDate or Dynamed as our point of care resource, and we're deciding that on Tuesday. So today I'm just going to have to show you both because I'm not really sure which one we're going to decide on. So I'm going to briefly go over both of those for you, and I'm going to start with UpToDate. So UpToDate is what we currently already subscribe to. We've subscribed to it for a few years now. And it is basically a fantastic website, and it's also an app, and it has just thousands of evidence-based summaries on there, which potentially answer, tens of thousands of clinical questions across 25 different specialities. There are also some other features like medical calculators and patient education materials. And if you register for UpToDate, which is free to do, then you can download the app as well. So it's a real point of care app in that sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get onto this and show you the library website. So let me just get rid of the slideshow. So hopefully you can all see now I'm on the Northern Care Alliance website, which is just northerncarealliance.nhs.uk. And then to get to the library service, if you go into this Research and Education tab, and then here we are, the Library and Knowledge Service. And if we click on that, then that takes us to our web page. So as we're trialing Dynamed at the moment, there's this huge banner, but that will be gone after next week. And then we scroll down, and then here you have everything that you need. We have a little shortcut section here if you just want to jump to something that you might need help with, and that will take you to the relevant page. And here we are again, we've got the Join the Library form that I mentioned earlier. So that's how you can join with us. So everything that I'm going to talk about resource-wise is all under the Evidence Toolkit. So I'm going to pop myself in there. And then, so we can see you've got a little notice about Athens, because everything on this page, you'll need an Athens account to access. And at the top here, we've got UpToDate. And you'll notice we've got lots of different resources, and I'm not going to be able to cover all of those. So today we're going to concentrate on UpToDate, Bmj Best Practice, and Dynamed as well. So to access UpToDate, just click on the UpToDate button. And all of our resources have this landing page, which basically just show you how to access each resource. And there's always a little video as well of me just talking a little bit more. UpToDate's a little bit of a weird one because the first time you access it, it needs to be from a trusted PC or via the VPN. So depending on where you are, you can click on the link here, and that will take you through the intranet from a trust PC. And then after you've accessed it for the first time, we always advise just to create an account, and that's free to do. But then once you've got an account, then you can access it from anywhere at all. So the first time is always from a trust PC, and after you've created an account, then anywhere at all. You can also access it with your Athens login, but we just always recommend creating an account for UpToDate. So I already have an account, so I'm just going to click on this, the UpToDate login button. Put myself on there, and then that will take me to the UpToDate login screen. Again, if you do want to access with Athens, there is a little Athens button down here, and you can do that from any PC. That doesn't need to be from a trust PC. So I've got my username and password, and I'm going to log in. So UpToDate is quite simple. I've got a big search bar here, and then just a few tabs at the top. So probably the way most people use UpToDate is just to search what they need for in the search bar. I've just been running an evaluation, so I'm going to just use the same search that I did for when I did that, which is I'm going to look up for probiotics for infectious diarrhea. So I'm going to look up probiotics, infectious diarrhea. Hopefully you can all see this, it's a bit small. And so then that takes me to this screen, and I've got a bunch of different search results, and they're usually in order of relevance. So it's usually the top one that you need anyway. You can have a little look here on the side of the topic outline, just to have a quick look to see if that is what you need, or it might be the second result. But as I said, it's an order of relevance, so it's usually the first or the second one that will help answer the question that you've searched for. So I'm going to click on the title of this one just to take you into a topic so I can show you around an UpToDate topic. So UpToDate has tens of thousands of topics, so obviously this is just one of them. And the topics are very, very long. But everything in UpToDate is evidence-based, so we can be sure that what we're getting from the recommendations, is the most up-to-date available evidence. And we can see here that this topic was last updated on January the 24th. So that's very recent, it's just March now. On the left side here, we've got the topic outline, if we wanted to jump to certain sections, as it is, of course, a very long topic. And then in the body of the text itself, UpToDate, it tends to link to other topics that might be interesting to us. All of the evidence is cited. So if we read something and then we have the little number next to it, of course, that's the citation of where that evidence came from. And if we click on that number, then it will take us to the journal article, the abstract of that article. So it's just a good way of kind of looking to see what evidence is available, have a look at the references to gather information that way. And also, because it is a point of care tool, what you read in UpToDate, you can take that and then apply it to your clinical practice as well. So probably the most useful feature of UpToDate is searching for topics in this way, and trying to find, or hopefully finding, an answer to your question. Other useful features about UpToDate are the What's New category. So what this does is it has all of the different topics within UpToDate, and it will tell you what's new, what's been new published, or what's just been added to UpToDate. So if we picked a topic, so I'm going to go with Neurology. And so here now we have everything that's been newly published in Neurology from the last 6 months. So I just want to point out here that it is from the last 6 months, and it's just that which was considered by the editors and authors to be of particular interest. So it won't be all of the new topics within UpToDate, or all of the recently updated topics, just those that are particularly interesting. And on the left side here, because we're in neurology, we've got the subtopics. So we have, here we go, cerebral disease, dementia, and so on. If we clicked on one that was interesting to us, we can see here the update itself, when it was updated, and then some more details on that. And if we wanted to view that within the topic, then we can click on the links that are provided to us. So this feature is just really useful for just keeping kind of, up to date, keeping abreast with developments in your field. It's updated almost every day. So you can just have a look to see, if there's anything worth having a look at there. There's also this practice changing updates. So that's under the What's New section. And as the title suggests, that would be updates, which might have implications for your practice. This goes much further, so it's not just the last 6 months. And instead of being divided by specialities, like our What's New section was, these are just all of the practice changing updates within UpToDate, because there's not as many of those, so they've just bunged them all together like this. You would just have to find your speciality at the side there. So if our speciality was nephrology, then we could click on that, and then these would be updates that we might, consider changing our practice based on what the recent evidence has found. And again, just like before, if we click on the citations, we can see what that evidence is based on. We can have a look at the year. So of course, this is very recent, and the study itself. And if we think it's worth then changing our practice based on that. Practice changing update, you're not going to find every speciality in there because not every speciality will have had a practice changing update in the last year or so. So just keep that in mind. If your speciality is not there, then UpToDate hasn't found a practice changing update for you. And then the last thing I want to show you here is just topics by speciality. So if you didn't want to search through the search bar and you just wanted to browse, then find your speciality. Again, I'm going to go with neurology here. And then it gives you subsections within that speciality. I'm going to go click on headache, and then all of the different topics within that. So you can have a read of those and have a look at the evidence. So because I'm signed in to UpToDate, I've used the personal account, which everybody is able to do. It logs my credits here. So at the top, we can see CME 79.5. And if I click on that, so that's my continuing medical education. So for those of you collecting CPD points, this is a good way to do that as well. You can download those credits and it comes out with a little certificate that you can pop in your portfolio and whatnot as well. So this was just a very quick run through UpToDate. I didn't want to spend too much time on it in case come next week we don't have it anymore. But so hopefully.
Sorry to interrupt you there. I just have a quick question regarding CME.
Yeah.
How does it collect points? Do we need to submit anything, or do we need to input or support?
No, you don't need to do anything. So it's just while you're logged in, so you have to be logged into your personal account. But while you're logged in, basically all the time that you've spent, all the time that you're spending on it, it just gets recorded. So you don't need to do anything at all. UpToDate just will record the time that you've spent on here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Brilliant. Lovely. So so if we do keep UpToDate after next week, I do really hope that you make use of it. It is a really fantastic tool. And as I said, if you do want any more kind of in-depth and more in-depth demo, then do get in touch and I can provide that for you as well. Lovely. So next, I am going to show you Dynamed with Micromedex. So this is something that we are trialing at the moment. So if we do decide to stay with UpToDate, and we will have Dynamed still until April. That's how long our trial lasts for. But it might be that we decide to go with Dynamed instead. So I have to show you both. But yeah, Dynamed, very similar to UpToDate. It has topics, the clinician focused, and again, just like UpToDate, they're used for evidence-based patient care. It's meant as a point of care tool in that way, but it's also very useful for research as well. And just like UpToDate, it has a mobile app. So if you create a personal account, which you're all able to do, then you can download the app and use it as a point of care tool in that way as well. So I'm going to show you how to access Dynamed, although it is very worth me mentioning that the access will change. So if we do decide to go with Dynamed in the future, I imagine all we're going to do is change this UpToDate button to a Dynamed button. But because we're still in our trial phase, at the moment, it's just on the front page of our website. So you can see here, Dynamed with Micromedex, big banner. So we'll click on that. And then here we go. Again, there's a little video, and then the link to get onto Dynamed is here. So because it's Dynamed plus Micromedex, so this is kind of the extended version of Dynamed. It has extra features to do with drug interactions. So we're going to click on dynamedex.com, and then that will take us to the front page of the Dynamed screen. And here to log in, we just click on the little person icon up here, sign in, and then that will take us to the sign-in screen. Again, I have a personal account because I've created one. If you haven't created, of course you won't have done by now, then you can log in with your Athens account, Institutional Athens here, and then you can create a personal account once you've signed in to your Open Athens account as well. I already have a personal account, so I'm just going to sign in straight away with that, but don't feel that you need to desperately create one. But just like with UpToDate as well, there are benefits to having a personal account. It will record your CME credits, and you can also customize your alerts alerts as well, which I'm going to briefly show you. So here we are, we're on our front page of Dynamed, and I'm just going to do the exact same search that I did when I was using UpToDate. So I'm going to search for probiotics for infectious diarrhea, and then click enter. And so then we have our list of results. And again, they're usually in order of relevance, but if you do want to have a look at something a little bit more in more detail, you can click on the 3 lines and see the topic overview before you make your decision to jump into a topic. I'm going to click on this one because this looks like what I need. I can see that it's got a little probiotics subheading here. And it's laid out very similarly as UpToDate was. So on the left side, we have our overview so that we can jump to certain sections. Because again, Dynamed, the topics are massive. They're really, really big. The nice thing about Dynamed is at the beginning of each topic, there's like a digest version of the whole topic. So everything is just kind of compacted in case we just want to quickly get to an answer without reading further. Dynamed also does this nice thing where it tells you the recommendation. So if if it makes a recommendation, if it's strong or weak, for example, and if we click on that, it will give us more information about how it's come to that conclusion. I'm going to just jump to something so I can show you. In fact, let me just find probiotics in this. Lovely. So another thing that Dynamed has, which is quite nice, is once it makes a recommendation, it tells you the level of evidence for that recommendation. So we have our statement here. It tells us that this is a Dynamed level 2 piece of evidence, which is a mid-level evidence, so it's not quite level 1. So that we can, if you're applying anything to your clinical practice or using evidence for research, you know how confident you can be in something. And then, of course, it also links to the full text where it got that recommendation from as well. At the very end, you can find references. So if you were doing research and you just wanted to learn more about the topic, read anything more in depth, then you can have a look at that as well. If there's a full text link, it will link straight to that. But if there's anything that you need that doesn't seem to be full text, do always just contact the library, because 9 times out of 10 we can get hold of it for you as well. So next I wanted to show you also the specialities on Dynamed. So just like UpToDate, Dynamed has a specialities section. And on Dynamed, you can follow a speciality. So this is because I am logged into my personal account. I can now follow a speciality, which means that if there's updates within that speciality, I'll get an email about that. If I didn't quite want to follow the whole speciality because, I'm not interested in everything within immunology, for example, then I can follow just certain topics. So I'm just going to pick a random topic here. And within that topic, I can then press this follow button. And then if there are updates from that topic, then I'll get emails about that as well. So that's quite nice to kind of keep up to date. However, if you do want to look at recent updates within a speciality, you can do that as well. On the front page here, if I was following a topic, then my front page would be kind of personalized to that. So right now I'm getting all topic updates. So if I wanted to have just from a certain speciality, if I click on view all alerts at the bottom here, and then I can filter it by category. And then I can look at just recent updates from whatever category I choose. I can choose more than one as well. Click apply. And then it basically lists all of the most recent alerts from that category. So I can have a look to see if there's anything that I might have missed in practice or anything that's interesting to me. There are also practice changing updates, but it doesn't have its own special section the way UpToDate does. Instead, if there's a practice changing update, it would be within this list of updates, but there isn't a practice changing update here, but it would be like bright red. There's a big banner around it so that you can't miss it. You can't just scroll past. So that's how you would see the practice changing updates there. And then because we're trialing the Micromedex version of Dynamed, there's a lot to do with drug interactions and IV compatibility, which I'm not going to have time to go through today. But if that is something that interests you, then I do definitely urge to have a little play around with that as well. And then just like UpToDate, it records my credits here at the top. And again, I don't need to do anything. It just records the time I've spent on here, so you can see the topics that I've looked at, and then I can download like a little certificate and whatnot for that as well. So that's very briefly UpToDate and Dynamed. So come next week, we'll know which one we're subscribing to, and we'll reflect that on our Library and Knowledge Service webpage as well, so that you'll know what it is that we're subscribing to. Lovely. So the next one I want to show you is Bmj Best Practice. So this is nice because it's a UK-based point of care tool. So whereas Dynamed and UpToDate, although they do have UK guidelines within them, they do sometimes focus on American guidance as well. Whereas Bmj Practice is the British Medical Journal, so everything here is UK-based. And again, it has evidence-based topic overviews. It's got a lot more, it's got a lot of conditions. It's not quite as in-depth as UpToDate or Dynamed. It's a little bit more, it focuses on the more established evidence, really. But it does have medical calculators, patient information, and things like that as well. And just like the others, you access with your Athens account. So just like before, I'm going to pop myself into the evidence toolkit section of the website. And then Bmj Best Practice is here. And then that will take me to the little landing page where I've got, again, a little video if I wanted to watch that, and then just information on how to access. So we've got the link here, click on that, and then enter your Open Athens details. And then that will take you to Bmj Best Practice. So again, I'm just going to show you one of the topics. So we're just going to search for infectious diarrhea again. Infectious diarrhea. I picked diarrhea, I never know how to spell it. Infection. Search for that, and then here we go. So here we have all of our different topics that it's given us. It's a suggested traveler's diarrhea for me, so that's the one I'm going to go with, I guess. And I'm just going to click straight onto the topic, and then that will take me to the topic itself. So Bmj Best Practice topics are unique because they follow kind of the journey of the patients, and with this bar at the top, so you can see we go from kind of diagnosis, management, follow-up, and of course you can jump to certain sections within that. On the front page here, we've got a summary just to kind of give us a bit of background, and just quick links to differentials and guidelines as well. So I'm just going to click on a couple of these just to show you. So I'm going to click on investigations. And then that will tell us which investigations to order to diagnose our patients. So the first investigations to order, and that will tell us a little bit more about that. And then other investigations that we might want to consider if we're looking at a patient that might have this condition. Differentials, just to check that we're not missing anything. You know, it could be, of course, there could be a differential diagnosis. So it goes through that for us and links to the subject through the topic of that of the differentials too. Under management, we've got things like the treatment algorithm, which, as it suggests, kind of suggests which treatment we want to give initially, if it's an acute situation, if the patient is pregnant or if it's a child. So the different treatments that we might want to consider, and a bit more information on that. Emerging is a good one. So this is for, of course, emerging treatments. So if there's any kind of research that you might want to do around different emerging treatments, Bmj keeps very up to date with this. It links to the evidence of where, of course, it thinks that this emerging treatment is coming from. One thing I really like about Bmj is that it really points out if something comes from the Cochrane Library. Of course, Cochrane is a very highly regarded resource, so it just points that out for us a little bit more, so that's nice. And again, if we click on any of the citations, then we can see where that piece of evidence came from as well. And then if there's anything following up, we've got things like complications, so we'll click on that. So it tells us a possible complication, the time frame that complication might occur in, and then the likelihood that complication might occur as well. And then at the end, we have things like guidelines. Again, it will always focus on the British ones as well. I say that now it's in alphabetical order. So we have different guidelines here in case of different countries, but if there were British ones, they'd always be at the top because it is the British Medical Journal. And then any references that you might want to look through to gather any more resources for any research. Just good starting points here to have a look at. Bmj Best Practice also has, it's got a new comorbidities tool, which at the moment, the topic that I chose doesn't seem to have it. So I'm just going to choose a random topic, infectious diseases. Oh, it's not doing it for me today. So we're just going to skip that because it's not working for me. So next thing I want to show you was the recent updates section. So again, just like we saw on Dynamed and UpToDate, we can see recent updates on Bmj Best Practice as well. We can view all updates, the important updates, which are kind of like the practice changing updates, if you wanted to have a look through those. And of course, because they tend to be quite a few updates, you can also just filter by speciality as well. So if we were just looking at one speciality, then they'd be all the updates that happened in the last few months for that speciality. Important updates are also on the front screen of a topic as well. So if there's been a recent important update in a topic that you're looking at, it will always be highlighted. So it's easy for you to find. Oh, here's the comorbidities thing I wanted to show you. So it's a new feature on Bmj Best Practice. So it's not on all of the topics yet. But if you see this little C next to the treatment algorithm, it means that you can now enter comorbidities to see how you might treat your patient differently that might have all these different comorbidities. So if we ticked a couple of these, and then the treatment algorithm would basically change in line with the comorbidities that you've chosen as well. So that's a new feature. So hopefully it will be on a few more specialities and more topics as time goes on. So I think it only got released last month, so it's still in its kind of new phase. So that's Bmj Best Practice for you. It does have patient leaflets. I know obviously we produce our own patient leaflets, but they can be quite useful for taking information from. There's videos on different procedures if you want to have a look at those as well, and lots of different calculators. UpToDate and Dynamed also have clinical calculators as well, but they're quite nice here because they are you can group them by speciality. So if there's a specific calculator that you wanted to look at within your speciality, then you can do that as well. Lovely. So now I'm going to move on to just finding books, journals and articles. So this is not an in-depth database search yet. That will be in part 2. This is just for generally having a look around, seeing what books are available to you in the library. If you were looking for a specific article, you could find that through the journals as well. And then also looking for specific articles using our discovery tool. So there are 2 ways to locate books and articles. There's the library catalogue. So the library catalogue I would use if I was trying to find a book or journal that the library subscribes to, basically. So it's readily available. So that's what I'm going to show you first. And then the discovery tool is a lot broader. So it's kind of an maintenance phase at the moment. So it works and it's fantastic for searching for articles, but we're also hoping in the future that we can search for our books and the journals that we subscribe to in the discovery tool. So it's something that you can do at the moment, but it's just not very refined. So I would definitely suggest for now locating just books and journals that you just want to get a hold of now, and then I would suggest the library catalogue for that. So that's what I'm going to start on. So there's a link on the screen here, but again, I'm just going to show you how to get to it from the library website. So if I go back to our homepage, and here we have find a book or article, and that will take you directly to the library catalogue. So we'll click on that, and then we've got a new little window that opens for us. So here we just have quite a simple search bar. Although my logon details are here, you do not need to log on to use the catalogue. So just completely ignore that, that doesn't matter. And then here we just search for whatever it is that you're looking for. So I'm going to search for research and click enter. And then here we have all of our results. So at the top here are different tabs. So we've got the book tab, so it defaults to the book tab always. Multimedia, which is like CDs and DVDs, journals, research conducted by staff within the Northern Care Alliance as well. So we'll just concentrate on books to start off with. So I've typed in research, so that comes up as a keyword and also within the book titles themselves. On the left side here, I can narrow down. So I can narrow down by content if I, again, wanted to look at just journals. And I can also narrow down by location. So because we've got 3 libraries, of course, not all of our libraries have the same books. I advise against narrowing down by location unless you are at a location and you need a book right now, because if you do find a book that's available at Oldham, say, and you're at Salford, we can transfer that book for you. So there's no need to exclude any books from any of the other library sites, unless you just need something there and then. So I would advise against doing that. And then here we have our results themselves. We've got titles of books, authors, and so on, and the publication date. You can sort your results by publication date, say. So we've got the most recent ones at the top. And then you'll notice that some of them have an ebook link. We've been trying to get a few more ebooks recently because people are, of course, working from home a lot more. So if there's an ebook link, then you can just click on that link and that will take you to that book and you can just read it online. You'll have to enter your Open Athens username and password, but then that's it, and you're good to go. So that's really useful. If a book doesn't have the link next to it, then that means it's a physical book in the library itself. So if we wanted to find out where that was, then we would just click on the title of the book. So it gives us a little bit more information here. And then we can see here there's 2 copies of this one. One's at Fairfield and one's at Oldham. It gives you the shelf reference so that you know exactly where it is on the shelf. But if this is something that you don't understand, then just ask at the help desk and we're always more than happy to help with that as well. Some of our ebooks, I'm not going to try and find one, but some of our ebooks are available as print as well. So if it has the link symbol, but you would rather have it as a print book rather than ebook, then do just click on the title just to check, because sometimes we subscribe to something as an ebook and we also have it on the shelves. In this case, this one is not on the shelf, but it is just worth having a little check to see. Once you're in a book and it's only available as an ebook, the link is here so that you can click on that and that will take you to that book so you can read it online. So I'm going to start a search again, and this time I'm going to search for just nursing, just to show you the journal section. So I've typed in nursing and I've hit enter. And again, it's always set out the same way, but this time I'm going to look at the journals tab. So if I click on that, and that will give me just all of the journals. So you'll notice that all of our journals, the majority of them are e-journals. So we don't really have any print journals. We've got a small selection at Salford, but for the most part, all of our journals are online. So you'll always need your Open Athens account to access our journals. Another thing I just want to mention is the item holding section here. So that means what issues and volumes we have of that journal. So some of them you'll see we have from 2011 till present. Some of them we just have a select year, and then some of them it will say after 12 months, and that means that we don't have the most recent 12 months, and that updates every day. So it'll always be the last year that we don't have, basically. And then
sorry to interrupt, we've just got a couple of questions coming through on the chat, so I think it's probably relevant that we deal with those while you're on this section.
Definitely.
Louise has asked, first of all, I don't know whether you're actually covering this later, but is there any area to store the journals that you identify as being beneficial? So I presume we're talking about like an EndNote type.
I see, like a reference management.
Yeah, reference management tool.
So we don't really have reference management tools. Later on, when I show you the databases, you can then save journals and articles that way. So that might be helpful. But as a library service, we don't offer a reference management software. No. But yeah, later on, when we search for journals using the databases, and then you can kind of save them to folders and things like that.
Yes, that might be something actually that we could identify as a future training need in terms of using a reference management tool.
Yeah,
I know in my PhD I used EndNote, which allowed you to store all of the references and then directly import them into Word when you're doing your typing. It's whether if people need sort of that level, we could certainly look at that if people are interested.
Definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
as a service, because we don't offer reference management software, there is Mendeley, which is free, and I do give training sessions on Mendeley, so I'd be very happy to do that as well.
I think that would probably be more appropriate for where people are at. So we could certainly have a look at that, couldn't we?
Brilliant.
The other thing that Louise is asking is, can any parts of an ebook be downloaded rather than a whole bit? Can you sort of download just a certain chapter?
Yeah, so because let me just quickly show you this. So our ebooks, it depends on the provider basically. So it depends on the platform where the ebook comes from. So we haven't written there's a provider section, but yeah. So on some of them, I'll just click on one to show you. On some of them, yeah, you can just click on. You can download just a chapter. Some of them you have to do the whole book. So this is a Cortex one, which is absolutely rubbish. So I'm not going to show you that. Nursing research. Oh, they're all Cortex. Cortex is probably the most rubbish platform, and the reason that we have those is because they're kind of free. So yeah, so first of all, you'll see that it's logging me in now with my Open Athens. So sometimes it asks you straight away to log in, sometimes not till later. So this book, for example, is provided to us by Oxford Medicine Online, and in this case, I think we can only read it online. So we can't download the chapter. We can just read the chapters online. So it depends on the provider. So sometimes you can download a chapter, sometimes you can download the whole book, sometimes you can only read it online, and that really is to do with the provider itself rather than the catalogue. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, perfect. And Michelle's also asking, how do you actually reserve a book?
So to reserve a book, as I mentioned here, you can ignore my login details. When you register with the library, you will be given login details for Sutron, and if you're logged in and you click on a book, then a little reserve button pops up and you can reserve it that way. However, I would kind of advise against that. So if you want a book and you want to reserve it, just call the library or email the library. All of our details are on our website under the Contact Visitors section. And that's what I would do. Just note down the title of the book, call the library, and you can call any library. It doesn't need to be the library where the book is at or the library where you want the book to be. We all communicate with each other, and then we'll arrange having that library, that book reserved for you.
Fabulous, thanks very much. So I'm happy to sort of monitor the chat and chip in, but if people do have things that they want to ask, if they're happy to, you can just you can just sort of pop your camera on and ask Ramona directly if you like.
Absolutely. I can't see any of you, but
yeah,
shout out. It's absolutely fine. I'm fine with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks very much.
No worries. Wonderful. So yeah, so as I was saying, with the journals, so yeah, you can see the item holdings for the journals, and so to access a journal, you would just click on that little link here. So if you're looking for a specific journal article, of course you would know the title of the journal and you would know what year it was published. So that is one way of finding specific journal articles. To search for the journal, to just check that we do subscribe to that year that you're looking for, and then click on the link, and that will take you then basically to that journals page, and you might need to at this point log in with your Open Athens. Again, it depends on the provider, or it might be once you've tried to access a journal article itself, then it will ask you to log in. If I just click sign in at the top here, and access through my Athens account. And then now, because I've signed into this journal platform, I should technically be able to access any of the journals that we've subscribed to, so from 2003. So I won't be able to access anything before 2003, even though it's of course still going to show up on the website. So if I go to articles and issues and all issues, and then just click on whatever I want. It starts at 2003 anyway, so that's fine. So if I click on this one, and of course you'll know what volume or what issue number it is that you're specifically looking for, and then you can view that article online. You can download it as a PDF in this case as well, and that's the case with most journals. You can usually download them as a PDF as well. So this is provided by Science Direct, but just exactly as with the books, the providers can change, and so the platform might look a little bit different each time, but there usually is always a place for you to view the current journal article, and then all the issues, or the archive of issues, sometimes it's called. So that's how you would search, basically for specific journals. It's for specific articles. It's not very useful to use Sutron, our catalogue, to search for to browse for articles. So you can browse for journals and you can browse for books, but you can't browse for articles because you can only view the articles once you're inside the journal provider's you know, the website itself. And then it depends on the provider. Sometimes you can search within this journal in this case. So I could search within Nurse Education Today for anything I wanted to, and then that would pop up all the results there. But again, you're just restricting yourself to one single journal. So I'm going to show you on Discovery in a second how to search within lots of journals for a particular topic that you're looking for. So that is the library catalogue. And now the next thing I'm going to move on to is the discovery tool. So as we've just seen, you know, the library catalogue is really useful for locating books and journals that we have already at the library, that we subscribe to at the library. But discovery is good for a broader search. So it's not quite a database search yet, which we're going to go through after our break. But it is good for if you are just browsing articles, it's very useful for that. I would advise for the moment, I'm going to send the slides around to click on the link that I've provided. I am going to show you how to access it from the website, but it's a little bit, because it's still kind of under construction, this section, it's a little bit more complicated. But if we go back to our evidence toolkit section, and then all of our databases are under this databases section. So we'll head back to this in part 2. And discovery is under the Ebsco Databases. So you can see it says plus NCA Discovery. So that's the tool that we're looking at here. So if we click on Ebsco Databases, that will take us to this kind of landing page. And it's not very intuitive at the moment, unfortunately, which is why I definitely advise to click the link on the PowerPoint for the time being, because there's 2 links to Discovery Service, and it is the second link, so it's absolutely not helpful at all, really. But if you do want to do it this way, it's the second link. We are working on getting this first link removed. And the annoying thing about the first link is that it does work. It's just when it's too late, you realise that you've clicked on the wrong one. So here's the Discovery tool. And the first thing I always advise is to sign into your research. You don't need to do anything extra. You just click on it, and then it will just sign in by itself using your Athens details. But that just means that now we can save things. We've got this little folder, and now we can save things to the folder. So as I mentioned, you can use the Discovery tool as our library catalogue as well. So our books and our journals that we subscribe to are discoverable in this tool as well. It's just not complete at the moment. So I'd still advise using the catalogue. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to search for research again, like I did before, research, and just click enter. And then it'll take us to our list of results. So you can see here how many results we've got. 36 million, so that's unbelievable. Each kind of search that you look for, it always starts nicely with this research starter. So whatever you're looking for, it will have a research starter, and then on that it kind of just gives you a little bit background on whatever topic it is that you've searched for. So that's quite nice if you're just getting to grips with the topic yourself. As we're doing our Dynamed trial, and it's also provided by Ebsco, who provides this service for us. They've linked those together. So if we do end up going with Dynamed, you'll always have a little Dynamed option as well. So whatever you've searched for in here, we'll also search for it in Dynamed, and then you can just click on the links there as well. So that's a nice little feature. And you'll see it also links to our UpToDate on the side here as well. So first of all, we've got all of our results here. Our 36 million or whatever. So we can see on the side that they've already automatically been limited to full text and available in the NCA library collection. So what that means is basically everything that you should find in the search results should technically be available through our library service. So everything should be full text. If you wanted to do a bit of a broader search, so you want to find articles, not just those that we subscribe to, then you can untick that box, and that will then include all the other articles in the world that include the word research, which is of course quite a lot. And then on the side, you can also narrow it down to books. If you were just looking at books, let's do that. And if you did, again, if you wanted to narrow it down to those just available in Northern Carolines, you can do that. And as I said, it does work like our catalogue. So this book here, it's available at Salford Royal. So you can search for our books as well. It's just not very refined at the moment. I'm going to untick books, and I'm going to go with academic journals. what's it doing here? Academic journals. And of course, you can also narrow it down by the year. So it starts from the year 1013, which is a bit strange. But of course, you can narrow that down. There's a little bar that you can use, or you can use the, you can just type in the year into the little box itself. You can narrow it down by subject. So they're not, again, there's not, the research subjects are not very refined because it will just use the tags that an article has been labeled with. But again, you know, you've got things like language as well. So it's a good way basically just to kind of start gathering ideas for research for whatever topic it is that you're interested in. If the full text is available, it'll always link to the full text. If the full text is not available, one nice thing about this, I'm going to untick full text and untick available in library collection. Just close a few of these. And untick this just to show you it's a little bit slow. So if the full text was not available, which all of these are, annoyingly, then instead where at the bottom it says, you know, view full text, there would be another button. And I can't find one now because all of these are available. But if it wasn't available, there would be another button and that would say request from your library. So that would mean all you have to do really is click on that button. I can't find an example, but you would just click on that button and that would take you to a separate screen and it would have all the citations for that article already in there, and you just enter your details, so your name and whatever, and that will just automatically send an email to us so that we know, oh, okay, this person wants a full text of this article and apparently we don't have access to it, and then we would get hold of that for you. So it's just a nice way to kind of get around that, but I can't find an example for you, unfortunately. So sorry about that. So I'm going to search for, I'm going to just do a little bit more of a fine search. Again, I'm going to go for probiotics, infectious diarrhea, and then click OK. So, oh, here we go. Oh, found one. So here we have this article here, which has come up in the search because I'm not only searching what's available in the library, but this one here is not available as a full text. So we have a little request this item from the library. So if I click on that, then you've got this form pops up. All of the details are here. So you would just need to enter your details and then send that to us. And then that will let us know that you want to get hold of this full text article, and we'll then find that for you. I'm glad I got to show you that. So, so again, you know, it's good for just having a look around, but you'll see, I mean, you get a lot of results. 21,000 is a lot of results, and you can then choose to do an advanced search. So this is just helpful to kind of narrow it down a little bit. So if I just have a look for probiotics, and I'm going to have a look at infectious diarrhea and probiotics. In fact, no, that's the infectious diarrhea or acute diarrhea. And so what we're getting into here is kind of database search. And so it's the beginning of a database search. It's not quite a database search, but it's just useful to kind of have a bit of a browse. I'm going to click on probiotics. And then you can search through fields as well. So if I only wanted to search in the title instead of all of the fields, just to narrow that down a little bit more so I'm not getting tens of thousands of results, then I can click on that. And now hopefully my search is a little bit more refined. So now I've just got 1,000 results. So it's a little bit better. And then you could carry on narrowing it down, you know, by source type and subject type and whatnot. But this is what I would use if I was just starting to do research and I just wanted to have a general look around to see what's going on, you know, what kind of evidence is out there without going into a full-blown database search. And if there's anything that you're interested in, if something seems, you know, something that seems relevant to you, then you can click on the little plus folder icon, and that will then save that into your research. So I've got a little test folder, for example, and that will then save that into my research folder, which then I can access up here in my folders, in my test folder that's down here, and then I can have a look at the articles within that. So you can save as you're looking through, and then that's all together for you at the end. So that's quite useful as you're browsing for research. So I'm going to leave that there. Again, there's a lot more to explore when it comes to this, but do definitely have a little play around. And if you have any more questions about it, then do let me know. So what I'm going to do now is pause for a little break, and then we'll come back and we'll go into database searching, if that's okay with everybody. I'll stay here for a couple of minutes in case anyone's got any questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn my camera on. Otherwise, if we have a little 5-minute break, is that okay? Or if anybody needs any longer, then I'm happy to do that as well. Otherwise, if we come back at about 10 past.
Yeah, there's no other questions in the chat, so unless anybody's got anything that they want to ask Ramona at this point.
It's fine, thank you.
Everybody's happy.
Thank you.
Lovely. Then let's do a little 5 minutes, and then I'll start again at 10 past.
Okay, lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully